Yeah, so my real interest is actually in the area of what I call mental healing, which is about understanding the language and us getting into seeing how most of our self-censorship and our sense of suppression and oppression and how we feel less about the value of our contribution is actually a result of hundreds of years of conditioning, and it's all buried in our language. People think that sounds very conspiratorial, but it's not. There's nothing conspiratorial about the collar, the cuffs and the tie. That's staring you in the face. You know, the sign "in trance" over all the corporate doors of the establishments of corporate desire and all the rest of it. It's like, well, we've been fooled into thinking that means way in. I'm sorry, that has only ever said "in trance." You know, we've been tricked, and there's so many other areas where we've been tricked in that, and that's what I wanted to get people into. But people are so distracted and under the thumb, I suppose, with the sense of oppression and bills and the need to go and work and do this for a system that isn't serving them at all. You know, it's quite blatantly reducing the services it's offering them while taking more money off them. So then I realised I had to turn my attention to that area to help buy people some time and some breathing space to hopefully get onto the stuff I want to do, which is about, you know, opening up other modes of perception, getting into the sound and the language of it. And really, it kind of got a bit out of control, because what I was doing was showing how my language work could be applied into this sovereign free man field, and it just so happens that the ideas I came up with in the application of language just was so powerful that people have just jumped on the bandwagon and they want to get behind it, they want to use it, which is why we have the concept of the People's Public Trust, which isn't something I've created, it's something that's already there. You know, it's not an organisation that needs to be built. It's like, no, the public trust exists, it's there. You can go and act on it at any point. If you feel your public servants aren't serving you, then you can act on the basis of that trust straight away. And that's just one aspect of the language side of it. And there's more of it that we're building in to the strategy of the trust that's preparing us for the first big actions that we're getting ready for, hopefully between now and spring, which is, I think the system has been set up at the current stage to keep us all so busy and so occupied with our own personal crap, with the stuff that we have to keep feeding the beast, you know, that we don't have time to deal with the big common issues. So this is the ultimate of divide and conquer, and that is, you don't even have to do it obviously. It's like, just keep, you know, drip feeding them with this, keep up with the Joneses thing, and that's it, job done. Because when you go and ask people, saying, well, look, we've got this big common issue that we all agree on, shall we go and do something about it? And people are like, well, I can't, I've got to be at work at 9, I cannot do that because I've got, you know, the mortgage man's banging on the door and blah blah blah. And it's like, but no, this common thing is to go and deal with the mortgage man. Oh no, I can't, sorry, you know, you'll have to go and do that without me. And that is a disaster, you know. So what I've been doing recently is just trying to get people to see that if we all just put our personal stuff aside, just temporarily, to work on the common thing. So for example, does anybody feel like it represents their position that it was a good idea for your family and your children to take on the liability of private bankers' playboy mistakes? So it's like, does anybody feel like that represented their position? Step forward. I've not met anybody who feels like the bank bailout actually represents their position. So when you're looking at possibly 3/4 of the nation, 75% of Britons feeling that way, then that's not a decision of the wings. You know, that's not even a decision of the mainstream, that's a decision of the majority. What we then have is a misrepresentation case. And we can immediately, as a nation, do what the Icelandics did, basically, and turn around and say, do you know what? The British people and our children do not want to accept liability for your private bankers' mistakes. Get off our island. Now, the thing is, if we can take a few core actions like that isn't treading on anybody's toes except from the super ultra wealthy, which, as far as I'm aware, is what, the 1%? So it's like, okay, we might upset 1% of people. That lot have just upset 99% of people, do you know what I mean? So my point is, let's just focus on these representative actions, because one thing's clear from the sovereign movement that I've learned the last few years, and that is the current system, the current judiciary, are not interested in a healthy and effective interface with the people. For the last 2 years, I've been in countless cases where we've gone in being honourable, we've gone in being civilised, being humane, looking to engage with the humans at the other end, to be friendly, to have an intelligent discourse, and what we've learned is they're not interested. We've got a bunch of snotty brats at the other end who feel like us wanting to have a conversation is treading on the toes of their supremacy of authority. And it's like, come on. We're members of the same community here that want to have an intelligent discussion about where the law may be misinterpreted here, because we have a lawful argument and we're not even getting that heard. So after 2 years of that, I've had enough. And now I'm only interested in representative actions. And we've got a few lined up where I do believe that if we can get enough people behind just a few issues, we can absolutely buy the people on this island enough breathing space for something incredible to happen, which is for a bit of awakening to take place at a much grander scale. But the first step would be bank bailout. Undo that, all of a sudden there's no cuts. All of a sudden 150 million a day in interest payments alone stop. That money's re-injected back into the British people's problems. Does anybody think that's a bad idea? Right, well, why don't we just do that, shall we? And then if the lender's unhappy, we'll say, okay, Mr. Lender, step forward. Who lent us that money? Oh, did you? Can you show us the balance sheet that showed that you lent us actually that money? And actually, at the end of today, can you settle your liabilities in public, Mr. Lender? Can you pay all your debts? If you can't, sod off. Because it means that you can't settle your liabilities and you're coming after us. Forget it. And I'm sorry, that's an absolute winner outright, because there's nobody who lent us that amount of money, and there's nobody can show us that they lost it, and there's nobody can show that they can settle their liabilities, because none of the major Western nations can. All of a sudden things change. Off the back of that, the Trust has a few ideas of another couple of actions to take, which are as powerful, as simple, and as common, common an issue that we can... It's even beyond that, but I don't want to talk about that just now because I don't want to give away our core strategies. But if we can get everybody on board on this one question, does it represent your position to bail the banks out for these private bankers' mistakes? If not, sign up, tell people. This isn't just about signing up to another petition, it's about doing something. It's like, if you agree to sign this, it's not a petition, it's something else. If you agree to sign up to this action to allow us to act in your name, then you've got to tell at least 5 people. Because we need at least 8 million people for this. Because it's got to be truly representative. We need at least twice as much as who turned up at the last general election. Now, we could do it with less, but I want it to really show the existing decision, the powers that were. I want to really show them that actually the British people really do agree on this point. And we can't do that unless we have enough numbers, because, okay, say we get 500,000, then it's just another petition. 500,000 is nothing. And it's like, no, I'm sorry, I know that we are speaking with the voice of more than 500,000, but if you're not going to come forward, then you deserve everything that is going to come upon this nation. If you're not going to step forward and act, now is the time. It is ripe, the energy is there. Let's put it all together and direct it to a common goal. And yeah, I think the first one, the most significant one that's affecting most people, is finances. I think it is the solution. And I wouldn't say that lightly. I'm not saying it just because it's mine. I've heard a lot of the other solutions. I give them a fair hearing because I'm not precious about ideas, It doesn't bother me. I want the best idea that everyone's going to get behind and it's going to work. Now, what's happened is enough people who are good thinkers have come to me and said, you know what, I've thought this through and it really could work. But the thing that's really sealed it for me is the fact that I get emails from people in Australia, America, Canada, Europe, not Europe, but America, Australia and Canada, where they think the People's Public Trust website is theirs. Even though it says Great Britain on it, in the first few paragraphs, they're saying, they've searched on things to do with public trust, and they've come to us. They've come to our site saying, yeah, where's the office? Where's our local branch? Blah, blah, blah. And what that's told me is that it's already an international concept that people are ready to run with. There's no learning to be done. There's no indoctrination that needs to take place. It's dead simple. I've never met anybody who disagrees with the simple point: public servants are entrusted with the well-being of the people as their highest personal priority. Does anybody disagree? Right, let's go from there. What's happening is those very basic premises, right? Okay, public servants are entrusted with having, the safety of the community, progressive education, looking after the kids. You're entrusted with that, aren't you, Mr. Public Servant? Does anybody disagree? And if they do disagree, it's like, well, you're definitely in the wrong job, mate. We really need to deal with this, because if you're not serving the people, who do you serve? No, really, who do you serve? Because we need to sort this out. Now, that simplicity, that universality of the approach there is what I think could turn it into a landslide success. And actually, what's been happening in the last few weeks is a lot of things have been changing that have shown that this is a tinderbox ready to go. 3 weeks ago, a paper was published that shows the People's Public Trust could actually just explode beyond what I originally thought. And that paper was, up until now, people had thought the People's Public Trust was a subjective opinion of a few people on the wings saying, yeah, we feel a bit let down by our public servants. Well, this publication shows that was not the case. It was published by the Parliament's own watchdog, by the Committee on Standards in Public Life. It was meant to be published last year, tail end of last year. They've been late with it, and it's all about public attitudes to public servants. And this is absolutely lambasting. And it starts at the third paragraph of the foreword from Sir Christopher Kelly. I think that's his name. I apologise if that's not your name. But the third paragraph says, this report makes stark reading. Public confidence in decision makers has been on a decline since 2004, but between 2008 and 2010, it dropped a further 20%, from 46 to 26% of people believe that MPs are capable of telling the truth, think that MPs are competent at their job. And the list goes on. We're looking at 50 pages of slaughtering of our public servants, which proves that the position of the People's Public Trust is not one of the wings. It is actually not even the mainstream. It is the majority feel that the trust is broken. And all of a sudden, we can use that. We can use that document to stand on, because it's like, sorry, the Parliament's own watchdog published this. We're now standing on this to say our position is actually the one of the majority. The people have, the trust has been broken. The public servants have broken the public's trust. We can now move in that trust arena to get away from their limited liability and start to hold individuals to account. Now, the big difference about the public trust strategy is there is no us and them. This isn't about taking any system down. This isn't about replacing and coming up with new courts and new whatever. It's about saying, no, our infrastructures are one of the best in the world. It's fabulous. And, you know, all that's wrong is a few bad operatives. Most of the operatives are great. Most of us have an okay experience with our public servants. It's just the few we need to deal with. And with that understanding, with us trying to improve the perception of public servants, we want to restore the credibility of public servants as being one of the most honourable roles there is. That's what we want to do, you know, and to win public servants on side, because you public servants out there at entry level, you know who the corrupt ones are. You work next to them, the immature ones, the unstable ones, the ones who really aren't working for the people. Come and tell us. Let's all take an action together on that. Join up, be an insider, because what we're looking at doing is winning as many public servants over as possible, because we are all the people. You know, and if we talk about, you know, the machinators of the system, if they really are the 1%, then actually all these people that are in between, that a lot of people in the so-called movement of alternative systems, you know, they're all thinking, oh, well, they're in it, and yeah, we're not going to deal with them anymore, and they're all buggers and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, they're not. They're us. When they take their collar off at the end of the day, they're going home. They're thinking exactly what you're thinking. Let's win them over, because then it's going to be all of us. And this little corner of 1%ers, as we're standing there drumming our fingers on the table saying, well, what have we got to say now? You know, that's what I'm talking about. And in that way, what we're doing is we're not separating, we're not segregating, we're not us and theming, it's just us. Anyway, that's my solution. And that's why I think it'll work, is because it's us and us, and because of all the other reasons. I'm not asking anybody to buy into any ideologies. This is about saying, look, everybody, keep your ideology, I don't care, I don't give a monkeys. You can be, you know, you can call yourself the king of trees in your house if you want to. You can call yourself the Swami whoever. I don't care. The point is, let's find the common things and work on them together, because if we at least do them, we can change things overnight. If we wait for everybody to agree on the big positions, the big spiritual ideas or the big questions, then we're already divided and we're already conquered, and we might as well all just live in a hut somewhere. Yeah, rant over.